Hi, Steve.
Hey, Jim.
How you feeling today?
You know, I just I feel a little odd.
You know what? Me too. I guess it's a good thing that we're covering some odd music for odd people.
And hello and welcome everyone to Two Guys Talking About Records, the vinyl community podcast, worldwide podcast for that matter, where it's just two guys sitting around talking about records, but in a very exciting way. My name is Steve and I am a record collector.
And my name is Jim, and I own a record store. And Steve, I think we have got an odd episode coming up today. Feeling that? Are you
Yeah.
feeling that like I am?
Yeah, the world is getting odder, and we're going to be covering that musically today.
Well, there is a big release coming up in the next week here, as of the recording of this, from a French Canadian group called Angine de Poitrine. You and I have successfully, until this point, avoided talking about them when pretty much every other, not just the vinyl community channels, but a lot of other YouTube channels are going berserk over these guys. And I guess it's time you and I talked about them a little bit. I've known about them for a while. I've got a story that I've talked about, or that I'll tell you, I've told you about, but I will tell the folks here about how I've known about them for a little bit and what my screw up was regarding that. But a lot of stuff to talk about. That got us thinking, what kind of weird stuff do we have in our collections just musically, whether we listen to them regularly or not? I don't know where I'm going to sit
Mhm.
on this new one, but I do enjoy their music. And I'll say it just there. I do enjoy their music. How's
Yeah,
that?
I would agree, Jim. I remember I saw their video pop up on YouTube. I think I lasted 5 seconds.
Just because of the
And
visual.
yeah, because of the visual, I go, no, no, I
Well,
can't do that.
we will get to that in a little bit, as well as our normal pickups, the additions to our collections. I've got some cool stuff this week, so we get to that. But I do have a news item I wanted to bring up first before we dive into those, Steve, if I could. And it is regarding some upcoming releases. This year marks the 250th of our nation. Now, celebrations going on all over the place. Rhino Records has stepped up and they're doing something called the Spirit of 76, which is a set of releases that are now 50 years old, kind of playing off in that. Now, Rhino's been doing really good with the Rocktober and then the Start Your Ear Off Right with the reissues that they kick in there.
Yeah.
So that's always kind of cool to see, but this one caught me by surprise, and I sent you the link for that as well. But I wanted to take just a couple of minutes here at the head of the show to talk about this because there's some interesting releases coming in at nice price points and some that are audiophile-ish in that Rhino Reserve side of things. So, but more than anything, this is like, really, some of these records are 50 years old? Holy cow. But props to Rhino for stepping up on this because there's some interesting stuff in here in their Spirit of 76. But Chicago 10, I heard you exclaim that came out in 76. That, yeah, the 10th
Yeah.
album from them. Yep.
Isn't that something? I mean, it's like I think we started in '69. That's our 10th album already. It's like,
Yeah.
whoa, they were knocking
Prolific.
them out.
But getting the Rhino Reserve treatment, and again, for those that have not heard us talk about this before, Rhino's got essentially three levels, I would guess, of audiophile. They've got their entry level ones they did with Now Playing coming in at the $20 range. They've got a bunch of these in the $25 range, which these days is pretty decent for a new piece of vinyl. The Rhino Reserves come in at around $32 suggested list price, and then they've got their audiophile ones with the really nice jackets, the analog mastering that usually come in around 40. And I didn't see anything of that nature in here. Maybe I'm wrong, but there's a good mix of the $25 ones and the Rhino Reserves on the way throughout the month of July. I don't think these are all, I think they spread these out through July like they do in both January and October. I'd have to go back and look at the actual release dates on them. But yeah, what's your take on some of these titles they're offering through Rhino for the 76?
But what I the ZZ Top surprised me. Worldwide Texas tour. I've never seen that album or heard of it. Have you? Have you
I
ever
have
seen that?
not. What it says, it was originally a promotional release, which there we go. A promotional release
Okay.
that supported their 1976 world tour, served as a perfect sampler for their first 4 albums containing many of their biggest hits up to that point in their career. Available for the first time, retail for the first time. So 140 gram. Yeah, the
Okay.
worldwide tour, that's a $25 one. I don't see oh, there is a track listing here. So yeah, okay, Waiting for the Bus, Jesus Left Chicago, Beer Drinkers, Blue Jean Blues, Tush, let's see, Brown Sugar Just Got Paid, Heard It on the X, love that song. LaGrange is on there as well. So
Wow.
that's an interesting one. It was just a promotional only, so now ZZ's getting that out there finally.
So I like that. I think that's pretty cool. It was neat they're putting out a Bootsy Rubber Band one, stretching out in Bootsy's Rubber Band. That was neat. Uh, they're the Alinda Ronstadt album because those are hard to find.
Those are really, really hard to find. Yeah, Hasten Down the Wind. That's one of the $25 ones as well.
Yeah.
Kingfish.
What else
I've
sound
seen that a
good?
few times before, and I think I don't know if the Linda Ronstadt's on colored vinyl. I don't believe it is, but yeah, they've all got their Spirit of '76, celebrating 50 years of Ronstadt's renowned '76 album.
Yeah. That Grateful Dead is a 2 album set for $35. That's a really good price and some really cool colored vinyl on that.
It's got the splatter vinyl. Yep, looks like it's got a sticker sheet also in this as well.
Yeah,
So that's
for
kind of cool.
$35.
Yep,
I mean, I
35
don't need it, but yeah, I still that's neat.
to steal your face. The ones that are getting the Rhino Reserve treatment, there's a couple of interesting ones I think in that nature. Well, okay, this is odd. Todd Rundgren's Faithful, which is a cool album, they're calling this a Rhino Reserve, but it still comes in at that $25 range. So
Yeah.
not quite certain. Yeah, this is what I thought. The Faithful from Rundgren from '76 is a cover album. It's an album of covers on there. Rain from the Beatles, Strawberry Fields is on there, Black and White. I've got that original, I think, somewhere in my collection. So yeah, the Rhino
Okay.
Reserve one's kicking in a little higher. There's a Ramones, so it's a Live at the Roxy double LP. Live Jay Giles, a lot of live ones. The Prime Prine is getting the Rhino Reserve treatment, single LP on that. Faces, Snakes and Ladders. The Flamin' Groovies there's 2 different versions. One's an expanded. The Bootsies that you mentioned is a Rhino Reserve at 32. Gordon Lightfoot's Summertime Dream with the Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, Rhino Reserve at $32 as well. $25 on Technical Ecstasy. I believe that was the last Ozzy album with Black Sabbath. It was either that or I Never Say Die. I get those 2 mixed up occasionally, but that's kind of a colored vinyl one. And then Al Stewart. Here's one you don't see hardly at all in our
Yeah.
$3 to $5 range at $32 for A Year of the Cat, Rhino Reserve.
Jethro Tull's greatest hits too. The very first one, which was one of my very first albums I ever got through Columbia Record Club.
Very cool.
That's yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I just
Good for
thought
them.
that.
Kingfish.
Oh yeah,
What's
the Kingfish.
I haven't heard of them.
They've been around. Yeah, '76. It's going to be blues rock, as I recall.
Okay.
Featuring Grateful Dead rhythm guitarist and vocalist Bob Weir as a core member. That's right. Blend of country rock, folk rock, and blues influences. I've seen this a few times on the used side here in the store. But yeah, Bob Weir's got a finger on that. It's a cool album, but yeah, that's not bad coming in at that $25 range also. So cool stuff from Rhino, and kind of a surprise that they're putting out this another series. I don't know as if they're going to be able to pull the 3rd series off again. Spirit of '77 next year doesn't sound quite the same.
Yeah.
Maybe they should just stick with Rocktober and the Start Your Ear Off Right campaign.
Well, we'll find out. If this sells really well, you will see 77.
But they'll have to call it something the 50th. We'll see. Let's not give them any ideas without them paying us. How's that?
Okay.
All right. Well, let's move on into our recent pickups, if we could, Steve. I know I got a lot of records to show today, so we should probably get moving through here. I had a fairly decent week, and the store was closed last weekend, and I took a little trip. We went up to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, visiting around in there, and I did make it all the way to Marquette, Michigan, my old stomping grounds. I lived up there for a long time as well. and went to a record show. You remember our friends
Uh,
John and Jeff? They did a lot of record shows in
yeah.
this area. Boy, do they miss
Yep.
you, Steve. They miss seeing you at record shows.
Ah, wow. Or did they miss my wallet?
Well, one and the same, one or the other through there. But yeah, it was good to see them, and I did have a couple of pickups from their record show. It was at a very historical hotel and bar in Marquette called the Landmark, overlooking Lake Superior. Used to go there all the time. It was good to be up there. Kim sat in the bar having a couple of drinks while I was over in the other side, sifting through records and chatting it up with the guys. But I got a couple of goodies from there I'll show off as well. But let's start. How did you do this week?
Oh, well, yesterday I visited the first record store I've been in since Record Store Day.
Wow. Okay, then.
I just haven't had time. I
Yeah,
haven't done online orders. I mean, so I actually do have some records to show.
good.
Otherwise, I had one record someone sent in. A friend of mine sent me, and it's Mahid Bekas, and it is it's jazz, but has some rock to it. And they're out of Africa from Morocco, and it is a three-piece from Morocco. I think they cover Purple Haze on here. They cover John Lee Hooker's Boom Boom, and then they have their own. There's one traditional song. It's really good. It's really quite good. Steve, his channel is the Vinyl Record Mission. He's the one that sent me this. He had heard it. He had gotten one and goes, I know someone I think that will really get into it.
Cool.
And I definitely do because it has so much of that African sound on there that I always enjoy. So, yeah, that was kind of a neat pickup. Jazz at the Berlin Philharmonic in, was it 27? Guana World Blues. Guana, okay, whatever.
So I do have one question though, Steve. The genre that you've pretty much been driving the sales up of around around the world, Zamrock, is music
As- yeah, from Zambia,
from
hard
Zambia.
rock.
Okay, so what is music from Morocco called then? And if it's not Zamrock, can you call it Maroc?
Morocco.
Oh,
Morocco.
there we go. Sorry. Okay,
Morocco.
those are called
All
RSD,
right,
record store dad jokes. Go
there we
ahead.
go. Well, I went to the record store for the first time. I said since
Yep.
record store day, and they had this Buddy Guy Man in the Blues.
Oh, cool.
And this is a 19, this came out in 68. This is from 87. So a nice repress, very nice, very clean on Vanguard. Uh, yeah, I've kind of wanted this. Has that psychedelic almost type colors, but it's definitely not psychedelic at all.
Nope.
Just Buddy Guy doing his thing. Really good. Some of that stuff. Well, he does Money, What I Want from Barry Gordy, but uh, Plummer Davis and Jules Taub. He does Worry Worry. Plummer Davis. I guess I don't have anything from Plummer Davis,
Nope.
but that was exciting to get. But he also had, this is an original. This is Buddy Guy, and this came out in 68 also. This is a live performance that he did. And he has a pretty big band. He has a lot of horns. It's almost more like rhythm and blues and soul, Jim. Than I mean, it is not straight up blues. It's
Interesting.
not. It's more horn related, maybe more Blues Brothers related. With all the stuff going on.
A little departure for Buddy.
Yeah, it was, but really very enjoyable. It's always great when you can find original blues albums. Denver has more blues than I've seen in any other city where I've traveled around. I do find a number of blues albums here
Okay.
that I want, besides the usual stuff that always comes in. Oh no, I'm gonna save this one for last because you're going to be impressed. Okay, the Creeps. So they had that there. Creeps is a garage rock band from Stockholm. And I have their first album. I really liked it. And so I saw this in there and go, wow, this is interesting. It's off a WEA label. So because there's a really good garage rock album. So I bought this. This is more soulful. a little more soulful type organ, rhythm and blues almost
Mhm.
kind of feel, a little bit of the garage rock, but they moved on from that direction. Creeps put out, I think, 4 or 5 albums again from the 80s. This is came out in 1988. And all the guys have guns here on the cover for those that can't see. So they're looking very mob like, trying to be cool. Because in Stockholm, you're not allowed to have guns. So I guess they, they wanted to feel cool about that. But not bad album. It didn't blow me away, but it wasn't very expensive.
Cool.
And the final one, I'm glad you're sitting, Jim, because you need this.
Okay.
Because I did not have this. And I thought, I need to rectify this. I bought Aha.
All right. You did.
So,
You
as
did it.
much as we've beat on Aha, and I'm guilty as ever, man, I thought, oh, I don't have Aha. There it was. So it has. I listened to side one, Take On Me's on there, which I think Take On Me is a fantastic song.
Yep.
I love Take On Me. I don't need the video. The song's great. And then I listen to the other songs and I go, all right. I can see why nothing else really happened. Now, I've only done one listen. So, I mean, I listened to things 4 or 5 times before I show it on my show or whatever to make a decision. But this is a Japanese press, though. Why get it when you can? Why get an inexpensive one when you can get a Japanese press? The owner of the record store I went to, Invincible Records, he has the best prices, I would say, in all of Denver. He just had gotten back from Japan, which you need to do, Jim. And he loaded up, bought a bunch of Japanese albums, press albums there, but inexpensive ones. So, he's selling these, $25, $30 for these very nice, clean copies. So, and I do have the original Japanese price sticker on here.
And the OBI strip. That's cool.
Yeah, like 900 yen or something. I don't know. It's all in Japanese. But now when we talk Aha, I could say, well, at least I have their album.
Well, once you listen to it for 4 or 5 more times and you get to enjoy it and it moves up your list of favorite pickups of all time, then we'll stop.
Yeah. And I go, you know what? I might become a completist.
Oh, there you go. Good luck. I think they still have a lot of stuff because you can get that big Aha box set for that album. I'll get it for you. Well, cool. Good pickups. I had a couple this week. I mentioned the record show in Marquette, Michigan I went to. But first, brand new album from, you speak the 80s with Aha. This is a group that I've got, I think, 3 or 4 of their albums from the 80s, and I thoroughly enjoy them. I really kind of dropped off into the 90s and 2000s, but picked up again more recently, and that is The Alarm. And this is their brand new one that just came out this past week called Transformation. And I hate to be kind of a downer, but there is a downer story that goes with this. The lead singer, Mike Peters from The Alarm, been with them since the beginning, and he went through their breakup and then kind of helped with their reformation, getting back together again. Passed away last year from a rare form of leukemia. And he had recorded this album prior to that, knowing that he had, and I guess I didn't realize this, but he's been suffering from and had beaten a couple of different forms of cancer over the past 30 years. 3 decades he's been battling this. And then early 2020s, he started saying it was a very aggressive form. But the hype sticker, normally, you and I may or may not keep hype stickers. This is one that keeps. It says on here, The Alarm Transformation, Mike Peters of The Alarm's last recorded work written and recorded during the final 6 months of his life. That's right in the hype sticker. Featuring standout tracks, One in a Million and Chimeria. The spirit of Mike Peters and The Alarm is now preserved forever, and the newly appointed Mike Peters Arena in North Wales, Peters' hometown as well. And then it lists his birth and death date, 1959 through April 29th of 2025, so just over a year ago. Gone but never forgotten, totally free. So the songs in this album, it does sound like the 80s Alarm in a lot of ways. His voice is still recognizable. And this one is on, this version is on a really nice looking green vinyl. But it's a heavy album because he talks about the treatment That there's a couple of songs about I Want to Live, A New Life. The Chimeria, which is I think is the big song out of there. I forget. I had to look this up. It goes back to ancient Greek mythology because he had a
Hmm.
total. There's a treatment for the leukemia, which is a almost complete blood transfusion. So it made him. He said it made himself like he feel he had the souls of two people in him. So it's one in a million. Live today in unity. To be alive is actually a song on here, and it's uplifting, but it's also a very serious album when you know what goes on with it. And there's an insert there
Yeah.
that's got Mike Peters lyric sheets, and it's an interesting album. I am enjoying it thus far, but it's also, like I said, it's pretty hefty in regards to content.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
in going and filing that, because we're filing these, I found another Alarm album from 2023 that I've had for a couple of years, transfer or forwards rather. I'm sorry, and I forgot to put it in my collections officially with Discogs, so that's in here too. This one was good. Also, he was also battling this in 2023, so you can kind of hear that is starting to come through. But Transformations it's a good album. It's a serious album, and it's a little depressing to think about it, but it's also, I think, very apt. It's a great coda for somebody who's given the better part of his life to music and a band that was very important in Britain. Not superstardom levels of importance, but meant a lot to a lot of people. And so this is a great way for
Sure.
him to, I think, say goodbye, so to speak.
That's yeah, that's really interesting. It's nice that he could do something like that. Kind of reminds you, Lou Reed in the mid early '90s did Magic and Loss, and it
Hmm.
was all about his friend dying and going through what he's going through and his feelings. Now, this was from a different perspective,
Yep.
but it was this very emotional. There's some uplifting and some dark. Yeah, it's just a lot of power to it. And that sounds like again a very powerful album.
It is. And I think you could equate that too with Bowie's last album and what he was going through in there.
Yeah.
So anyhow, didn't mean to bring you down too much, but I am enjoying that album, but especially knowing the history that goes into it and what he went through to get that produced before he passed last year. On the more happy side of things, welcoming back to my collection, I stopped at the record show in Marquette, as I mentioned, and picked up an OG copy of The Jam and In the City. This was sitting there. And I used to have this. I forget exactly when and how I purged. It may have been in my first, when we moved from the UP. I got rid of it, but always enjoyed this. I used to play the Batman theme on the radio just as a short fill through there. But In the
Hmm.
City is also very cool. But I know you like The Jam. That's that good Brit. It's punk, but it's more pop oriented. A power pop
Yeah,
punk. How's that?
definitely more pop oriented. And it's hard to find jam albums in here. I mean, I just can't find them.
Yep,
I used to have quite a few of them, but now I got one. I think it's that one because in the city's an incredibly good
it
song.
is. The only other Jam album I really would have sought out would have been their compilation Snap, the double LP, just to have everything at once. But you're right, you
Mhm.
never see that. And then finally, at the record show, this one caught my eye. They had a crate full of some bootleg ish stuff. And so I
Mhm.
spent some time. I've got a few things for the store too. So there's some cool stuff. So let me show this off here. It's the Violent Femmes, and it's their cover of their first album, but it's
Yeah.
not the first album. Down at the bottom, it's their 1981 studio demo LP. So this is a bootleg version, an unofficial version rather, of their demos and such for their first album. And I love that first album. It's one of my favorite alternative college radio albums of all
Yeah.
time. And to hear some of these other versions and some songs that didn't make the cut, or some other versions of songs from that first album, Waiting for the Bus is on there, but Blister in the Sun, Kiss Off, Please Do Not Go, Added Up is on here, Confessions, Give Me the Car. You recognize a lot of their early work, and it actually sounds pretty good too. That somebody got a hold of. I'm pretty sure that some of these were released on expanded versions officially, so hence the unofficial bootleggers in the Eastern UK or Eastern Europe, made in Slovenia, got a hold of some decent files for it. But Yeah, this one, great addition to my collection because I do have, and I thoroughly enjoy the original. So this is one of those instances where you can hear the work leading into it. I think is pretty cool.
Sure. And quality was good, sound
Quality was good
quality.
on it, yeah. So, and again, I think the quality in a lot of these newer bootlegs are decent depending upon where they get their source material. Some of the live
Yeah.
stuff obviously is questionable, but so anyway, folks, as we do with the pickups and a lot of the stuff that we talk about each and every week, we'll put together a Spotify playlist so you too can listen in on some of the things that we talk about. You can find the link to that playlist in the description wherever you are watching and or listening to this episode. All you got to do is scroll down a little bit, click on that. I don't think you need a Spotify account, but you'll probably hear ads if you don't otherwise.
Yes, you will. Trust me.
Trust
You
me,
will.
Steve isn't. So, okay, Steve, there is this huge release coming out next week from a French Canadian group called Angine de Poitrine. I've been practicing the pronunciation of that. This group first caught my, let me call them up here, first caught my ear, so to speak, with a viral video that came out. Oh man, where was that? That was a little bit back from a live at KEXP. This went up in February. And it took the internet by absolute storm. These guys look weird. They wear paper mache masks, dress in
Yeah.
polka dot outfits. They're just as bizarre can be. This rolled across my feed because, quite frankly, my YouTube algorithm, it's like, hey, Jim will like this crap. Let's show it to him. So, but I feel though, Steve, that I was a little bit ahead of the curve. I did see this pretty much the day that this was released. I watched it. I sent it to you, I think back in February. I made a little post on my Facebook page about it, making fun of it because it looked so bizarre. And that was my initial
Yeah.
reaction, was like, this is ridiculous. Check this out. This is goofy as all get out. And then, Steve, I listened to it. And
Mhm.
I got to say, I was blown away. My big problem, though, with this, and I like weird stuff, and we'll get into that here in a little bit, but maybe as I get older, I lose a level of tolerance for weirdness for art's sake. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
borderline performance art, and these guys are all in. They are all in on this, that they're aliens and time travelers. And
Mhm.
but I listened to this without watching the video. Now, watching the video they're goofy and it's distracting, but if you get past that, it's pretty damned impressive the way that they're playing. They're using some sequencing and recording themselves, so it's just the two of them, and it's what's called microtonal. They're calling this math rock, different psych prog, weird techno stuff. It's all mixed in there, but microtonal means that they're kind of getting in there and there's extra frets on the bass and the double neck guitar, which is very difficult to play. But as I mentioned, after listening to it and trying to block the visuals out a little bit, I became very enamored with this. I put it on my Spotify playlist. It was on my workout, and just listening without thinking about the visuals, it blew me away. And I don't know if you're
Yeah.
there yet on that.
I did enjoy the music. The one guy's dressed like a condom, though. I just like, wow. And the other guy, well, we won't go into that nose, but it is, yeah, it's so bizarre. So this bizarre look pulls you away from the music. So you're right, you need to separate the video from the music. And when I was listening to it, and we watched, there was a video that you shared with me about a guy analyzing it more,
Yep.
and it was really quite interesting. I mean, I really was enjoying what the drummer was putting down. I thought that was really cool, and there are a lot of different sounds. So I could see why there's excitement, but the whole fact, and again, the story goes that they were booked twice into the same place,
Yep.
and so they wanted to kind of change things. They didn't want to come in being the same people a second time, so they came up with costumes. And now yeah, you're right. Aliens, they make these weird sounds. They must have voice recorder. I don't know, whatever in their mask, but hoofda, it's something.
They're
Guy
yeah,
paints his hands and feet.
yep.
Yeah.
They're all in on this shtick, which again, I'm sure there's a lot of folks, and well, obviously there is a lot of folks because they've got sold out shows everywhere they go that are into it. I just like the music. I can live without the visuals, but I guess each of their own on that. But here's my
Mhm.
story that goes with this, Steve. After this whole thing blew up in February in the manner of maybe a week and a half to 2 weeks. It went from these guys have been around for probably 20 years, I think. 20 some odd years
Wow.
doing this. They have been around and only now are exploding because of this viral video of their live performance on KEXP. So their website, all the stuff they have done has been self-released. They had some vinyl. There was two or three versions, variations of that on vinyl. Let me get to the Discogs page because this is interesting. Yeah, Discogs calls them microtonal psychedelic groove rock duo based in Quebec, Canada. Angine de Poitrine and Clec de Poitrine, two members. It describes it on Discogs. But yeah, their first release officially was 2024, but again, they have been around for quite some time. Um, well, maybe 2019, so maybe not 20 years, but they've been around for a while from one of the things I'd read. The Okay, so here's what it goes. After that initial video went viral, and I sent it out to you, and I sent it to a couple of other people laughing about it, and then I started listening to it and thinking, I really kind of dig this. Within a span of 1 or 2 days, I got to the point, well, I'll look for this on vinyl. Nothing really on Discogs, but I found my way through Bandcamp, I believe, back to their website, which had to be translated from French because the whole Quebec thing. And there were, I think, some vinyl available on their first album, Volume 1. It was like $30, $40, something like that, shipped to get it from Canada, which wasn't terrible from Canada to the US. And it was, I think, their third or fourth pressing. So it was a black vinyl version of that. And I did the biggest mistake that you do when you're at a record store, but I did this online, which is if you pick something up and you put it down, don't. That's a good rule
Yeah.
to stand by, right? If you're thinking about it, don't
Hmm.
put it down.
Yep.
Well, I was thinking about it, and I put a couple copies of their Volume 1 into a shopping cart. The Volume 2 had not been released yet, but was getting ready to be released, self-release on their own. And I kept waiting, well, how do I pre-order? But then I got distracted, and a day or two went by. Literally just a day or two went by, and in that time, they blew up tremendously. Everybody was putting videos and talking about them on YouTube and such. And I went back, and it was gone. The ones that
Wow.
I had in a cart were ready to purchase, were gone. And Steve, just because I'm a glutton for punishment, I do believe that version was they've got gold ones out there. The second pressing, I think, is what it was, or third pressing. Now there's one. It goes between $300 and $600
Wow.
on Discogs now. And I had a couple of them in a cart, and I got distracted and did not purchase. And from that point on, the phenomenon had grown so much that there was just no chance in hell of getting in on a pre-order for Volume 2 at that point. It just was
Sure.
not going to happen. I tried and I tried and I tried, couldn't happen, and that blew up with their self-press. So something like this, Steve, does not go unnoticed by major record labels.
Hmm.
So lo and behold, from February till now in early June, these guys were signed for a wider release, and that album is now coming out on June 12th. Now, both of them, Volume 1 reissue and Volume 2, which is technically a reissue but released in March, I believe, are now coming out for a wider release. And these things are going nuts. The distributors, I talked with our buddy Ken. He's my rep at AMS, and we talked about this a little bit. And he told me that he says they have in the distribution side noticed a very significant buzz on Angine de Poitrine from the stores that they deal with. They've taken notice because of that, and they have ordered aggressively on the one-stop side to get them to the smaller stores. And that album on the distributor side sold out well before the release date, meaning that they no longer have copies, and you're going to get what you get, and you're going to have to wait for another pressing, or if there's some that show up in a warehouse magically. Ken, he also said too that there's very often that these type of internet music phenomena pop up, but they don't translate into record
Yeah.
sales. But now he's saying that record stores, and ours included, when I was talking with about this, are saying that Angine de Poitrine is actually going to be a big deal with record buyers.
Hmm. You never know, right?
You don't.
Just
You don't. And
you
I
just
regret
wow.
not getting that when I had the chance because, A, you set it down and you forget about it.
This is music that really doesn't have hooks. It's not pop related or anything.
Yep.
It's on its own different wavelength of strangeness,
Yep.
but yet there's that kind of demand going through it. It's not Taylor Swift here, kids.
No.
And so it's just interesting how it took off and how many people are excited about it.
Really, over the span of about 5 months, 4 to 5 months, it blew up for a band that had been around and self-producing. So it's got to be kind of odd on them, so to speak. But
Hmm.
good for them. And if they can hold through with this whole costume, and they won't reveal their identities. Their
Yeah.
website, when I translate it, it says, "Please respect our privacy." I'm like, well, come on, you guys dressing
Yeah.
like this. But it's kind of like I kind of equate this to Primus. Oh, what the heck, Primus, and there's this other band called Clowncore, which is
Yep.
tremendously interesting. Just the two of them out there, it's really kind of cool.
The nice thing is these guys can now go out in public and no one's going to bother them. They're not going to know
That's
who they
true.
are. They can go to Disney World, have a good time without everyone there bothering them. So eat at restaurants. So this privacy, kind of Daft Punk was always, Daft
Yep.
Punk always had those helmets on, and you can enjoy your life without getting bothered by everyone. So
Well,
interesting.
in a week or two, we'll know how the vinyl goes because I actually am looking forward to the vinyl. I'm going to keep a couple. I'm going to keep a copy of each of them for myself, obviously, since I missed out on the earlier one. Um, but I think that for me, and this is just me, the listening experience on vinyl is probably going to be a lot more rewarding than the listening experience through YouTube without trying to look at the visuals. We'll see how
Sure.
that translates. And if I end up liking it more because of that, I can deal with odd album covers all day long. But
Yeah.
this is one of those cases where I think the visuals didn't help me personally. A lot of folks love it. Here at the store, we've got a lot of them coming. So we'll see if and I did get in before they sold out at the distributors because they are sold
Hmm.
out. So I think I've got enough copies coming for the store. I've got maybe 4 or 5 pre-orders for them. We'll see where it goes from there, and I'll let you know in a couple weeks. But it's a phenomenon, man.
Yeah, it is. It's
Embrace
something. Wow.
embrace the oddness. So that got
Yeah.
me thinking,
Yeah.
Steve. That got me thinking. We've got a lot of weird stuff in our collections, and it's not just the album covers, but it's the music very specifically. I've always had kind of a penchant for weird stuff. I think I'm going to go back to my childhood, and I sought this out. H.R. Puffin stuff, the soundtrack.
Ugh.
I used to watch this, and yeah,
Yeah.
this is the music's not weird on this, but this is just kind of setting the tone, I think, for my frame of brain when it comes to
Uh-huh.
odd music. Between that and Dr. Demento, which introduced me to a group called Barnes and Barnes, really more of a comedy album, so to speak. These are the guys that did Fish Heads, by the way. And Vuba is the name of the album that I've got kind of a beat up copy of. And it does have fish heads. You remember that fish heads, roly poly fish heads. That's the,
No.
no? Wow,
No.
nothing, huh?
Nope. Nope. Wasn't big in Nebraska, I guess.
No, but this album, I've had this for quite some time. But again, going through Dr. Demento, getting introduced in the comedy vein of stuff, but a lot of the stuff that on there became experimental. I mean, they've got a song on here called Party in My Pants along with Fish Heads. But this is very experimental, just weird music with the comedy edge to it that got it on Demento and got forward. But that kind of set the stage for me with this little small niche in my collection of stuff that's really odd. And I think you're there
Sure.
with some too.
A little bit. When I was purging, anything really kind of odd, I just said, you know what? I'm not going to listen to that. Out it goes. No, too strange. Out it goes. I'm more of I like a melody. I like a chorus. I like something snappy. And I do have a few weird things that I did keep.
Hmm.
or odd things, shall you say. But for the most part, Jim, unlike you, I try to steer clear of it because I'm going to put it on and go, huh, what?
It's the kind of stuff. Well, again, I should preface this by saying that this is all very subjective. What you and
Mhm.
I find odd, others, are going to go with Angine de Poitrine and go "Wah, wah, wah," like that. They're going to get it. They're
Yeah.
digging it. I've already kind of said that I can't stand their visuals, but I love their music. I get it.
Mhm.
Different strokes for different folks. Before we get into them, I want to show something that is odd, but both of us have. And this is early Pink Floyd. Both Piper at the Gates of Dawn and Saucerful of Secrets, at the time, considered just absolutely bizarre for their experimentation in noise. I mean, you took this whole idea of free jazz and you infused just the absolute fuzz guitar of psychedelic rock into it and just became
Yeah.
noise rock, early noise. So that could be considered odd because not everybody, oh, I love Pink Floyd. We don't need no education. I'm like, oh, well, why don't you listen to, Power Torch on here and see what you think?
Well, boy, you look at it that way, I probably have, especially when you come to noise rock.
Well, and that's just it. I mean, it could be a different
To me,
interpretation.
it's not strange. Yeah.
And same thing there. I don't find Pink Floyd, the early Pink Floyd, I find it a little
Mhm.
trippy, but I don't find it odd.
Yeah.
One
Yeah.
more Floyd related that is odd that I'm not sure I'm going to be able to keep a hold of. This is
Mm.
Roger Waters along with Ron Geishan and an album called Music from the Body. This is weird, and I don't
Yeah.
know if I can get into this. The Geishan co-wrote. I'm going to have to go back here and I believe it was Adam Hart Mother with Floyd. He was part
Okay.
of that with them. But this is just absolutely bizarre stuff, and I don't. That's a little beyond me, but I had it because it's Floyd centric. It goes into the Floyd that we
Yeah.
talked about
I
last week.
yeah, I totally passed on that. I go, nope,
Yeah.
not doing it. I will not be a completist now.
Nope.
But
Well, what do you have that is considered odd?
well, for me, now there'll be people that are going to disagree with this. Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention, the weasels rip my flesh. I absolutely think it's. I don't know why I kept it. Quite honestly,
Because of the cover.
just
The cover's
yeah,
cool.
it probably is because of the cover. They got a weasel ripping his flesh on. It's like he's shaving. For those that can't see, it's like he's shaving and weasel's ripping it. But man, it's so bizarre. I mean, I put it on. I just played it again, before this, just to say maybe I like it now. No, no, not at all. I am not digging this. I have trouble with Zappa.
Yep.
Zappa, he a lot of people love him because they get it. But definitely for me, I struggle with Zappa and his stuff. And just to prove my point, his label even says bizarre.
Yes.
So, I mean, he agrees with me on this, but I know you like some Zappa,
I
Jim.
do, and I'm with you. Zappa for me has always been hot and cold. I either really like it or I absolutely can't stand it. And the more structured stuff is, I think, where I go. Hot Rats is one of my favorite albums. I just like it because it does feel like there's some structure to it. Some of his,
Yeah,
I've got a copy of Freak Out, and I think I like one side of that. The other side just gets too out there for me. But it is odd, and there are some Zappa I like and some I don't. That's kind
yeah,
of, and I know people love him, and that's cool.
yeah, they do. Like Captain Beefheart Trout Mask
Oh
replica.
yeah.
I don't have that in my collection anymore, and I didn't go seeking it
Well,
because
that's one
I
of those
tried.
albums that everybody says, "Oh, you've got to have this in your collection," and you're like,
Yeah, exactly.
"There
Top
you go."
100 albums of all time, which is why I bought it. And I go, wow, I guess I'm not a very good collector because I don't want that in my collection.
I don't get it. Now I'm going to bring up one that you're going to say, "Come on, really?" And this is where I'm getting at with the whole odd music for odd people, and that's the Cramps. I've had
Oh,
one of
come
these.
on, really?
I've had this in my collection since the 80s. We've talked about that. And just odd from the standpoint because when I got this in 1980, probably four, I think, roundabout there, I played it, and my roommate's like, "What the hell is that weird you're playing there? What is going on here?" because it wasn't like anything that they'd ever heard. It wasn't 80s rock or anything like that or pop. But I've always thought that this was odd, but not anymore. How's that? It got its start with me because it was odd, because I love the cover,
Yeah.
and because the music was not like anything I'd heard before in the 80s. But do I think it's odd now? No, I think it's the Cramps.
Yes. Well, I have one that was considered odd then. It's considered odd now. And Lou Reed's Metal Machine Music.
Yes, there you go. Musically,
I
wow.
Yeah, musically, wow. It's drone. It's that's it. That's it. Just drone feedback for 2 albums. You really there's there's no rhyme or reason. I mean, it's just drone and feedback. It is a tough to sit through. Some people like it. I just wonder, are they saying they like it just to say they like it? Like, and I get that. I understand what's going on there and what's happening. No, you don't. It's just the guy's just screwing around with you.
I don't even think Lou Reed liked it, to tell you the truth. It wasn't a
No,
contractually obligated noise.
it was. It was just, yeah, mad at the record company. So they want an album. I'll give them an album. There you go. And yeah, so that one's, when you think of drone and noise rock and Metal Machine Music's one of the ones. Kind of, he did. John Cale from the Velvet Underground with him was a big Lamont Young fan, and so that was a big part of Lamont Young, drone and everything. So obviously Reed picked up something from that.
Well, I have a couple of other ones I want to get through that. The early days of MTV is what introduced me to this, and so much so that in getting ready for this episode, I had to seek the video out, and it was just as bad as I remembered it. But I had found this album a while ago, and it's a minimalist German group called Trio. And the song
Yeah.
Boom Boom kicked out through there, but Hearts or Trump is another good one. This is, I don't want to call it Kraftwerk because it's not, and
No.
it's just nonsense pop, so to speak.
Hmm.
I'll equate it close to the Barnes and Barnes stuff, but I really enjoy this album, even though I don't understand much of it. It's very cool, regardless. But one of the other ones, and I think we talked about this with just nonsense, and I'll listen to this, and I pretty much no one else in my sphere of friends. It's really tough to see. This is King Missile. And I know that Happy Hour, we joked about that release on Record Store Day of Happy
Yeah.
Hour a while back, but this is King Missile, Dogfly Religion, an album called They. This is such an obnoxious album, but it's got King Missile's signature, almost beatnik poetry set to sparse music as it goes through here with some drums in the background. And the songs are short, the songs are somewhat offensive, and it is not for everyone, but I do enjoy this. But is it odd? Yes, I will absolutely. Let me zoom in on this a little bit so folks can see even what the cover looks like. If you ever see this, there's one song in particular that will never and should never have been played on the radio. I'll leave it at that, but there's just some other ones on there that are just so short, sweet, and obnoxious and weird that I love it.
Yeah.
Happy Hour I dig as well, but this one I'll go to more than that.
With that, I could put the whole category of free jazz into it.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, I just I don't get it. I got a good friend of mine that loves free jazz, Pharoah Sanders and all that, and it's just noise. It's just noise coming at me that makes no sense to me. And I like jazz. Can't do the free jazz.
So that gets back to
I
what we
don't.
talked to with, I like stuff that has structure. Even if it's a little
Mhm.
ridiculous or weird sounding, as long as it's got some structure. Well, you just said that with Zappa as well. I can at least respect that. The free jazz, again, you said this, I think put it very well. I just don't get it. And I don't get that either. So, but there are people
Yeah,
that do, or there are people that at least pretend to get it.
exactly. Here's one I had: Uncle Acid and the Deadbeats,
Hmm.
and different group, prog rock for the most part, which okay, right there and then, prog scares me. I'm not into it very much. But this one, it's like a soundtrack to a movie they made up in their minds, and murder and everything.
I do have just a couple of more that are in the collection because once in a while you get in the mood, right? it's How about Can and Eggy Bamiasi? I am going to have some trouble pronouncing that. Again, it borderlines on that experimental side of things where it gets a
Hmm.
little bizarre for me. One other group that I do like, but I have to say I like it only in smaller amounts or certain songs, and that is Stereolab. You want to talk about experimental stuff? That's where these guys get. There's some that I just think are great albums. This is Emperor Tomato Ketchup. There's a couple of different albums I love on here, but some of the songs are great. I can't pronounce these. Leslie Iper Sound, Lesser Per Sound, or Sparkplug Noise of Carpet is a cool song. But then there's others that I'm
Yeah.
just like, maybe not. I don't quite get it through there.
Hmm.
Now, this one as well. I know that you talked with Zappa, and we mentioned earlier that the Angine de Poitrine has kind of got some Primus vibes going to it with the costume and such. But Primus is a group that in Les Claypool, sometimes I like, sometimes I don't. Desaturating 7 came out, and I like some of their older stuff I don't have, but I do have on my iPhone to listen to. But this one I got simply because it seemed kind of cool. Desaturating 7 from back in 2017, a concept album we've talked about before, just very weird stuff. But I do find this somewhat listenable on the concept side of things. But Primus has they've got a Willy Wonka album out there in the Chocolate Factory, which I find just absolutely, it's for me, it's terrible. But
Yeah.
this kind of wrapping things up on this, Steve, brings us to the one that I showed off a couple of weeks ago from the Claypool Lennon
Hmm.
Delirium, another concept album, the great Parrot Ox and the Golden Egg of Empathy. I've been listening to this a little bit more here and there, and I do thoroughly enjoy it. It's weird, but it's not out there weird. How's that? It's very Primus and
Hmm.
Beatles-esque, but I do still get a kick out of it.
Yeah. I'm still debating on that one, Jim. I think you still have a copy in the store.
I actually got a couple more copies in the store since we've last talked, simply because I want to be able to listen to mine to further digest it. And again, the rule in the store is if I don't have a copy to sell, then I don't listen to it because ultimately somebody will come in and say, well, I want that. And I don't want to say, no, I don't have any. That's mine. You can't have it.
Yeah, yeah.
I got to be careful with that. Um,
Understand.
so folks, where do you stand on odd music? Do you feel you're an odd person because you like some odd music here and there? I don't feel that I am, but once in a while, Steve, I get in the mood for just a little weirdness. You can't fault us for that. And I'm not going to fault people who really love the performance aspect of Angine de Poitrine where I don't.
Mhm.
I'll dig the music.
Yeah,
That's cool. You do you.
yeah. It is in the eye, in the ear of the beholder,
There we
shall we
go.
say, or the ear of the listener. Because yeah, I just think of some of this noise rock from a group like called Boris that I have. There is a lot of drone and feedback going on, but I really enjoy it, but not to a Lou Reed extent. So yeah, we all will find different things. My wife will say almost every one of these albums is odd.
Yeah.
I
Oh, yeah.
I think except for two of them. So she came in the other day. Well, that's really strange stuff. So when I told her I was doing this, episode today, she goes, "Well, put on that album you played the other day." I go, "You always say all my stuff's on." I don't know. I don't even remember what it was.
It was the LaVey.
Yeah. No, she liked that one. Yeah,
Yep.
my only one. Yeah, the only
Yep.
one she likes. That's it. That's it.
Well, folks, let us know in the comments if we're off base completely with Zappa or if you dig the Angine de Poitrine and would go see them where I would not. But I will, check us out in the comments. Let us know what you think and what's in your collection that folks think you're a little weird for doing. But feel free to defend Zappa and or free jazz. Either way,
Yeah.
take us to task on that and tell us why it's great. But again, I don't get it. Steve, I'll let you know in a week or two how things go with the Angine de Poitrine sales and if it
Yeah.
really is going to translate into what we thought it was. And if I've got people knocking the door down to get it next week on release day, we'll see what happens.
or if it will just be there sitting in the bins for the rest of its life, like one of the albums I sold you.
If I over ordered, I'll let you know on that too. But we'll see what happens. I have some high hopes for it. So, folks, that will do it for this week's edition of Two Guys Talking About Records of Vinyl Community Podcast. Please make sure to like and comment. And if you're listening to us on BLEAVE Network or Spotify, make sure that you kick in a review. That actually does help from time to time as well. Or feel free to share our stuff as well, because we would love to reach more people to hear us talk about records. I don't know why, but I think it would be fun.
Yes.
Because regardless, you and I are still going to do this every Sunday. So
we are. Regardless, it just doesn't matter. But we are out there to preach the gospel of vinyl records.
There we go. So until next week, my name is Jim, and I own a record store.
I'm Steve, a record collector.
All right, Steve, go have an odd week.
Yes.